Judy Mozina alerted her daughters, Jean and Diane.
We've always had tornado watches, and I just thought it was another false alarm at first. All of a sudden, we heard, like, glass busting down the road, like the dominoes. And I said, let's get under the table for protection. And the lights went out.
Mom, where are you?
Emergency dispatcher Madigan.
I think we got hit with a tornado. 911 emergency dispatcher Skinner. We've had, I guess, a tornado go through here, and there's water down all over the road.
Is everyone there okay?
We had approximately 280 calls in the first 35 minutes of the storm.
Okay, we'll get someone out there.
Fire Chief Alan Kennett directed the response from a mobile command unit.
Update in Henderson, you've been hit pretty hard. Can't give you any.
Tornado knocked out all communications. There was nothing available to us to use other than our city band frequency.
Familiar with that?
We had strictly unit-to-unit communications, and that was it.
It's 3 Henry 81. We have several houses leveled, high property damage.
Every available emergency vehicle from as far as 20 miles away converged on the local staging area. EMT firefighter John Payne was in charge of coordinating the rescue efforts from there.
There was quite a bit of anxiousness, both from our people, because it was our town that was hit, and also the outlying communities wanting to help.
A Cincinnati news crew was sent to the scene for a live report on the tornado. Michael Benedict was the cameraman.
When I arrived, it was really kind of an eerie quiet. There were homes leveled on, both sides of the street. I walked past this one house, and the house had been completely leveled. I mean, there was just maybe 2 walls standing. As I walked around the back of the house, the phone started ringing. It was amazing to see how much damage a storm like that could do.
We came to a dead stop because there were poles down. There was a transformer in the street, and the first thing we saw was this pile of rubble that used to be a house, and these 5 people stood up out of it.
And possible house completely demolished.
A tornado can hit in a heartbeat, and that's the thing probably that was the most difficult for us to handle, how we went from just a normal summer storm to this kind of disaster.
Several houses leveled, high property.
I came to a house that had been hit, and then half of it was completely gone, and the other half was leaning real bad. And I thought I heard something. So I reached over and I turned my radio down, and I called again, and I heard a faint voice, a woman's voice. And I thought, oh, no. So I called again, and I asked them where they were. I said, where are you? And she said, we're in the kitchen. So I radioed to the chief. I said, I have 3 people trapped in this house, and he asked me where I was. And I thought, I have no idea. It was just so confusing. There was no way to tell where you were that night.
North State Street. When the call came through with the address of the entrapment, I knew right away that it was my mother-in-law and 2 sister-in-laws. The first thing that came across my mind was why that house. I walked up to the house that the people were trapped in, and one of the firemen came over to me and said, hey, we could use your light up here.
Well, this got about 10 minutes on it, so...
I said, you guys, you have to use this light pretty sparingly because it doesn't last very long.
Harry Henson was the first paramedic on the scene.
When I first saw Jean, I just felt the weight of the rubble was resting on her shoulders, and that's the way it looked.
There's 2 more in there.
When I really got to checking above her and feeling above her and found out it was, and I was really, really surprised.
Mike, my fair. Cut it out. 84 to me. All right.
The worst fear of everybody was, the complete collapse of the structure before we had time to get the women out.
Okay.
Jean's legs were numb by the time she was extracted from under the collapsed walls.
Got her?
The other daughter, Diane, she informed me that she really was not trapped, that she just could not get out because Jean was in the way.
This one's supposedly in good shape. Okay.
There's a feeling of helplessness when you're in that kind of situation.
I've got an EMS unit down here.
My main worry was Jean, because I didn't know if she was paralyzed, and my mom, because my mom was still stuck in the house.
1 hour after the tornado hit, Judy was still buried under thousands of pounds of wreckage when her son-in-law, John, got to the scene.
In just a matter of seconds, they called and needed somebody to go into the back to assist the paramedic inside. I immediately took the initiative to go.
We decided to try the airbags at that time. If we tried to remove all the debris above her, that it was going to take a while. But we felt that we might be better off trying to lift it from underneath.
It was a slow process. Any sudden shift in the debris of the house might cause it to cave in on Judy.
I told her not to worry, that I was there, and I wouldn't leave her until we got her out.
John and Harry stayed inside the collapsed house with Judy for 20 minutes until the airbags raised the wreckage high enough to free her.
Put your arm in, you above your head, go down. You're coming out, guys. Coming out. Nobody move. She's out. Yeah. Right.
Easy.
The other guys are running out.
Make sure you other guys are clear before you let them down.
84 command.
No problem.
Go ahead. Start pushing down. Everything's okay, man. Nice job.
It was overwhelming. I mean, there were people there with tears in their eyes.
Everything that we do week in and week out in drills and training, it gets monotonous. But at some time or other, it pays off, and you use it, and it all comes together.
One of the worst fears a firefighter or an EMT has is to come on a scene and have it be his own family. That was probably the worst part of the whole thing.
Harrison was devastated by the tornado that night, but no one was killed.
I had no idea that it had been that bad. I just thought things in the house had fallen on us, and maybe a wall or two fell down. I had no idea that the whole house was completely flattened.
1 month later, the Mosina family has already begun rebuilding on their old site. And although 20-year-old Jean is recovering from a broken back, they know it could have been much worse.
When I think that I lived through a tornado, I feel very lucky to have made it through. I feel it was a team effort that night, that there wasn't just one person that rescued us. I feel that it was the whole rescue team that deserves credit for it.
The Mosinas will never again live in a house without a basement. They've been deeply affected by what they've been through.
Every time a storm comes by or a black cloud, you think, how bad is this storm going to be? And you watch. You don't go on with your normal life like you did before. We're indebted to a lot of people for all the help that they've given us.
Every time I walk in a firehouse, I think of how much I owe my fellow firefighters for what they did for me and my family.